Today, I'm back in the patch, and it's winter, so it's cold. The sap in the trees has slowed to a snail's pace, and they've gone to sleep. So it's my favourite time of the year. It's pruning time. But first, I need to get my pruning kit in order. Because having the right tool for the job is not only important for your tree's health, but also your own. First bit of essential kit are your bypass secateurs. These will cut wood up to 2 to 3 centimetres thick. If you find yourself labouring, then you're working too hard and it's no good for your elbow, so you might need to upsize. 2, a pair of loppers. These will cut wood about 4 centimetres thick. And the great thing about these is they've got nice long handles, so you can get up high into the tree with ease. Now, if they're not enough, you need to upgrade again to a saw. These folding saws, I love them. They're great because they click out nice and easily and they fold back up so you can stow them in your pocket and move on to the next tree. Also, if you're dealing with a messy tree, a pair of safety glasses can come in really handy. Practicing good garden hygiene is essential to the health of your tree. So I like to use a bit of methylated spirits on the end of my blades, then a rag just to clean them off. You've got to make sure that your tools are nice and sharp. So if you get a sharpening blade, you can just hone off the edge so those cuts are nice and clean. So now it's time for some action. But wait, not all deciduous fruit trees benefit from a cut at this time of the year. Many stone fruit trees like peaches, nectarines, and this apricot here will tend to bleed when cut when it's cold. And that wound will seal up slower, meaning that the tree will be more susceptible to infection. So these are best cut during the summer period, directly after fruiting. But things like this quince tree here and its cousins, the apples and pears, love a cut at this time of the year. I always start at the base of the tree, going in to any sucker growth like this here and taking it out. If that were left, that would draw nutrients from the tree proper. And then I work my way up the tree, going for any dead, diseased or damaged limbs. This one's pretty good. And after that, I go for shape. Any inward growing branches like this one here will burst into growth in spring and congest the interior of the tree, restricting airflow. So they have to go. Then I come out and look at the outside of the tree. Any long branches that are making the tree lopsided, or any growth that's going into pathways like this one. Now for a few basics on pruning. On your loppers and your secateurs, you've got 2 parts, the hook and the blade. Always make sure the blade is on the side of the tree that's going to be left. The other way around, the hook can actually bruise the living tissue. And never leave a stub like this. It'll die back and can open the tree up to infection. Now, if you have a look at this branch here, you'll see at the bottom there's a little collar or a scar. You need to cut as close to that collar as possible without cutting into it. And the last thing I'm doing is bringing the overall height of the tree down to make it easier to maintain and pick the fruit. Pruning a tree like this in winter is a great way of reducing the crop yield, meaning you'll get less fruit, but it'll be a far better quality. But don't go overboard, because by pruning too hard, you're going to promote more wood in spring rather than fruit. Now that's how to deal with an established tree, but what do you do when you've got a freshie? So you've selected your fruit tree from the nursery, and you've got your unassuming twig back home. Now before you put it in the ground, it's important to check one thing, its roots. Because how good the roots are will be one of the major dictating factors of how your tree goes next season. And just as it's important to have nice clean cuts on the top of the tree, it's important to have nice clean cuts around the roots. Now these are all pretty good, and there's a lot of nice fibrous roots there. So this tree should come off all right, but that one, you can see, I'll just cut up close to that nice little bit of fibrous root there. All right, in she goes. I like to build a little mound in the base of the hole, like a podium for the wee tacker to sit on. And then you need to make sure that the graft is about 10 centimetres above the soil level. And I mix through a really good amount of compost, because young trees that are grown in compost, the root development of them next season is phenomenal. next piece of advice is the hardest to take. This already small tree needs to be pruned down even smaller. It takes a lot of effort to get carbohydrates from the main stem all the way up to the top of the tree. You need to think of it like a pump system or a set of pipes. So by cutting it down, I'll get a good response from the tree come spring, and because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 good arms that'll form the framework to my tree, I get a nice open goblet shape. The next thing is to take these branches down to a bud that's facing in the direction that you want it to grow. That one there, that one there, that one there, and that one there. That tree's now got a nice open shape. Now, I may be stating the obvious here, but you would not believe the amount of times that I've seen these tags left on only to ring bark the tree the following year. So always remember, remove them, because that's the kind of pruning you don't want. See you next time.